Hello? Hello, I hope you can hear me loud and clear. Please send me any emoji if you can hear me loud and clear. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah, it's Miss Suleiman Ben Swire coming back on Facebook Live. I just want to do a brief analysis of the extension of the ECOMIC stay mandate in the Gambia. And I do a brief analysis on the complaints coming from the Gambia Armed Forces, personnels, and the CDS himself. I know some people will be surprised to say that the CDS have been complaining, but if you listen carefully, he did not respond by giving solutions, but he himself were complaining to the media, which is a very interesting take. But we first of all look at the decision to keep ECOMIG for an extra 2 years. And this extra 2 years would determine that they're going to stay till after the elections. What determines the ECOMIG stay in the Gambia? If we are to find out that, we should find out what their mandate is. Why is ECOMIG in the Gambia? We all appreciated and we all knew they came at the time of need as a temporal measure in order to help stabilize a fragile nation. At that time, we had an impasse, and the dictator refused to leave the country, which could have led to bloodshed. They came in with their muscles in order to support the Gambian people, in order to stabilize. After 8 years of governance, this government still, it's not confidence, to stay with their sovereign institutions, the security sector, and so forth. And we know that entirely, yes, entirely I'm saying, I know there are some Gambians serving at the State House, but entirely, the president relied on foreign forces, Senegalese for that matter, for his security. This is a fact for 8 good years. One might ask why. We'll get to that. Now, apart from that the mandate, they have a mandate to stay that depends on what request? One request. From who? The government. If the government decides, no, we don't need them again, they can just appeal to ECOWAS and say, so we don't need them. ECOMIC is not imposed on us. It's not imposed on us. Gambia government can make a request to ECOWAS. Sorry, someone was insistent calling. Request to ECOWAS, and ECOWAS can deny that request. It's possible, but it's not likely. It's possible, but it's not likely. Now, what we have to ask ourselves, then, why does this government need ECOMIC to stay? We can deduct this to say, one, ECOMIC is not in the Gambia for the crimes that happens in the Gambia, no. They are not a law enforcement agency. They are not there to police Gambians for the criminality of Gambians. That's why at times I hear Gambians saying, oh, ECOMIC is here and crime is still going up. That's not their mandate. That's not their role. Then, ECOMIC is not there that if Gambians decided to come out of their houses in mass and say that they're going to protest and they don't want this government anymore, it's not ECOMIG mandate to stop them. No. It's ECOMIG mandate to keep the president safe. And keeping the president safe in this sense, it does not mean ECOMIG intervening to kill Gambians to keep the president safe. No. ECOMIG mandate would be to take the president and get the president away from risk. From risk. Now, then what else is ECOMIG there for? As ECOMIG primary mandate was for a threat that was perceived to come out from the dictator and people who were loyal to the dictator. Now, if for 8 years we have a government that still can't reach the confidence with the security forces, for 8 years they've been promising a security sector reform. Why? For 8 years they still don't have confidence with the security forces. And this is a government that the president have the powers to hire, fire. This is a government that the president selected. The member of the party for the dictator as the speaker, member of party for the dictator as deputy speaker, and not only deputy speaker, but member of party for the dictator as the chair. Yes, because of his role, chair as the Security and Intelligence Committee in Parliament. Is this president that appointed the Minister of Defense, who was a presidential commander for the dictator. He chose them. This is the same president that have appointed all the key positions given to the to the enabler of the dictator. This is the same president that selected the National SIS Director General of the former dictator as SIS Director General. This is the president that went and visited the former president's family and gave whatever, have never visited victims. Now, where is this threat coming from? Where is this threat coming from? How did ECOWAS came to this conclusion? I'll tell you how. ECOWAS is a group, a club of gentlemen. Remember, ECOWAS have reinstated sort of an ECOMIC interference force back to Bissau after so many years. They have reinstated ECOMIC in Sierra Leone after so many years. And now you have the Sierra Leone president as the chairman of ECOWAS. Now you have a Gambian who is enabled and supported by the president of Gambia to be the president of the ECOWAS Commission. What do you expect this decision to come from? They are going to look after each other. But as I said, ECOMIC stays because of the request from the Gambia. But you will realize that Gambians, for that matter, have never made requests, a demand against their government that they don't want ECOMIC in the country. No. To be honest. We haven't seen opposition parties going out there doing what to do, engage in the ECOWAS commission to say that we don't need ECOMIC here. No, they didn't do that. We didn't have civil society doing that. Now, if the president of the Gambia goes and make a case to his friends, the friends will easily oblige. The funding is arranged. It's not by Gambia government. It was by the French government. I don't know now. Because when it was the EU were holding accountability and asking when the ECOMIC would not be needed. But the minute the Gambia government realized that they are under pressure, they decided not to continue to seek funding from the EU. Then they went and seek funding from the French through Macky Sall to support them. I don't know right now who is sponsoring the ECOMIC. That being the case, we cannot just complain. that we are not happy about it. What are we not happy about? I'll tell you for one thing. It's the sense of lack of independence. ECOMIG is not hindering me. It's not bothering me in any form. And probably not bothering many Gambians. They work in their walks of life and anything else. But it present signified that we are still in a state of unrest. Now, that's why it still make me wonder who draft that. I didn't even read it. That Gambia is the fourth most peaceful country in Africa. I know they must be above Nigeria, but they're expecting troops from Nigeria to come and help them keep the peace. They're expecting troops from Senegal to come and keep the peace. They're expecting troops from Togo or other places to come and keep the peace. And we are the fourth. You see those contradictions. But what does this indicate? It has indicated two things. A failure to transition. That Barrow have completely failed of transition. He have indicated the failure of security sector reform. Because up to today, they cannot tell you definitively this is where they are. They cannot tell you definitively tangible results that this is what we achieve in our security sector reform. Something you don't measure, you cannot determine the outcome of. Now, we realize that Barrow is feeling insecure. This is the narrative. If the Gambia is peaceful, we have ECOMIG, then Gambia is peaceful as the peaceful people are peaceful people and our peaceful nation. Yeah, we have our crimes and other securities. We have problems with the drug cartel and so on, but still we can be determined peaceful compared to other countries. Because there is no open conflict in areas, communal or any other form. These are the measures. You can come out with a result, depend how you want to measure it. But one thing we can read from this, that Barrow himself, it's not secure to be a president in the Gambia without foreign forces backing him. If a president is so uncomfortable with his own security, means that the president is unpopular. And the president have realized he's unpopular. The president have realized that all the call that he has been supported, no. If you are popular, your sense of security heightens and you don't scare, that, oh, I have my decision. Then, I give you an example. I think it was Peru recently, one of the South African nations, Peru, I believe. The chief of staff went and ordered troops to arrest the president. And they arrested the president, keep it away. History. Do you know what happened? No unit of the army came out to counter that act. Do you know who came out? The people. The people came out and countered the act. Because of the popularity of the president, he was released. I don't want to use the example of Hugo Chavez anyway. But we know what happened with Hugo Chavez as well. Hugo Chavez was kidnapped by the Americans, taken out of Venezuela, taken to the American warship and into high seas. What happened? 48 hours, they have to return him back. It's not that because of the army came out and fight. No, because the people came out and fight. But Barrow knows that there's no single person. That buffoon that's saying that he's ready to spill blood, he knows he's lying. He's not even ready to spit saliva if he sees danger that he's going to defend Barrow. If Barrow was on fire today, knowing that his life too will be endangered, he will not even waste time to spit on him. He knows he's lying. And Barrow knows that. Barrow's not a buffoon to that level that he don't know that these people are lying. He knows that he bought them. You think Barrow believe in all those people around him? All those people who were against him? Dr. Sisi and others, you think Barrow is buffoon, not saying that he believes them? No. He's using them as much as possible. We move on to this. Now, as I said, the failure of opposition and anything, the ECOMIG would say. But ECOMIG is staying on one thing for Barrow's security. Against who, though? Against who? It's just the failure of security sector reform. I tell you one thing. I know many people will believe this. This is the perception saying there are Barrow Jammeh loyalists in the army. They are not Jammeh loyalists. No. They are opportunists. If they were Jammeh loyalists, they would have done a lot of stuff today to make sure Jammeh comes back. But you don't even hear a conspiracy. You don't even hear a conspiracy about trying something. Because they are all after their career. They are all after their jobs. They are opportunists. Yes, most of them benefited. Now they carry their ranks and everything because of this thing. And they might use the Jammeh card. Just as some Africans might use racism, some people might use tribalism card to advance themselves or as a form of defense. Or they are against us because they perceive us as this person. If there was a proper security sector reform, those people, even if they continue serving, they would not have been an issue. But why is Jammeh relevant? Jammeh is relevant because of, the government failed to do something about him. He would have been history. He would have been in the right place he should be. But if you go courting everybody around Jammeh, even the family of Jammeh, cousins of Jammeh, Pabojans and everybody are now your friends. His everything else. Solbaji even, he talks about Solbaji in good light. They are all free moving around. So because you don't have the political will to do that. You still believe that these are part of what will make you to win elections. Because we know. It's the same mechanism Jammeh used to win elections outright. I'm not saying Jammeh was not capable to win the election. He was popular. But he could not have probably, if elections were free and fair, he would not have won. Let's put it that way. And same thing with Barrow. If elections were free and fair, he would not have won. And he needs these people to do that for him. That's why they are rewarded, to position there. Then he's the one who created Jammeh. Fear of Jammeh. Not Jammeh loyalists in the army or Jammeh himself. And let's put this. Why I said that Jammeh is nothing to be feared. Let me say this. I am not saying Jammeh did not harbor. Whoever knows Jammeh will always harbor to pay back or to get something back. Who knows it? But it's not that what he wants, whether he can do it. Whether he can do it. The only time which Jammeh will always look for would be where if Gambia is completely in disarray, completely disarray, and then the so-called loyalists might act, and they will not even act on his behalf. They will be acting in order to protect something like a position. To protect a position. You see, this is where you have issues we had in Guinea-Bissau before. You have loyalists of Kumbayala, loyalists of Ninuvera, loyalists of Ansanamane, loyalists of somebody else. It's not that they are loyal to them, but they will feel secure belonging to that groupings. But with good governance, those groupings would not have existed. Gambia would have completely reconciled. That's a discussion for another day. And this threat would have disappeared. But if you maintain the instruments of tribalism, if you maintain the instrument of divisive politics, and you maintain political parties that are inherently loyal to a dictator, who have used his political party and mechanisms. Because, look, we don't only blame Jammeh for the killing and everything else, but people who enabled that killing, who politicized that killing, who defended those killings. And now you use those people to lead your institutions. And we wonder why. No, he would. That's the only time you will have any threat from Jammeh. And if the government was serious with the security sector reform, that would have disappeared. Not a government that will maintain people like DIG Sow, as this thing, knowing that it's not his intellect, not his nothing, but he's a fabricator. To the extent of them causing an act of terrorism, to label a political party to be responsible for an act of terrorism in order to get rid of a political party. Jammeh is not his image. That was the problem. It was what he was doing. That's what his problem. Now, if we have Adama Barrow government starting to do that, that's where we say that that's the fear we should have from Jammeh. Then the fear for Jammeh is what Adama Barrow have created. Let me say this. Jammeh might want to do things, but he doesn't have capacity. Not that he never thought about them, but he didn't have the capacity to do it. To the extent that what little he had was the little political leverage he had with the so-called APRC No Alliance, which have completely disintegrated. That's why the last audio of Jammeh, when he came out, not this last one, the previous one, when he talked about the oil and Senegal and start attacking all political parties, calling some of them foreigners and stuff like that. He was doing that deliberately to distract from the internal party problems he has. For Gambians to concentrate on the other parties, and for Gambians to take the sense of nationalism to try to blame Senegal for their misfortune. That's what he was trying to find. But he's empty in himself. And what confirmed that emptiness? It is this last audio. Listen to the audio. I will not blame him. I will not blame Jammeh for some of the statements he makes. It's within reason. You see, this is why we keep on saying about good governance. Because we don't want people like Jammeh or people like Jammeh to say that they are vindicated. This is something we fought for. We did not fight for Adama Barrow to be president. Adama Barrow was not about, it wasn't about him. It's about Gambia, how we got into a transition. We got to a level that, it's just like when you said, we got to a level, we just have to throw the cards and whatever decks come out, we play it. That's where we were. But in a sense that it will give us an opportunity for transition. Because the level of inhumanity that was being practiced in our country, it was just absurd. We cannot just stand anymore. When people will be killed and their bodies are not even given back. When Gambians who die outside the Gambia, they are not even allowed to come back to be buried. Where Gambians are disappearing, where Gambians are tortured, where men are raped by men, sanctioned by the state. Where women are raped, sanctioned by the state. Where people are butchered, strangled and die. When people go to work and would not know whether they're coming back. When people go to bed, not sure whether they will be waking up from their beds and taken away from their families. We fought for this. We fought for this democracy. It was not given to us. But to show that, the reason I'm saying this, if Jammeh accused Barrow of human sacrifice, why would anyone say it's unreasonable? They know each other. We know Jammeh, practice human sacrifice. He knows more than we know about it. We might hear about it. We might be aware because of stories we hear. But he have experience. And if that same Adama Barrow have come out twice, once he made a statement to say that he sacrificed his son. And we all know the circumstances the son have died. But even when he first said that, we said, no, it's not something, it's just a misspeech or something else. But he repeated it. Not only that, he repeated it, he came out and talked about digging graves and doing things with the grave. Probably he's been taking limbs from the dead bodies. We don't know. If someone like that is accused, why would you say that accused is not reasonable? And even twice when he made the announcement about the son sacrifice, if it was misspeech and people have picked us as being alleged, he still didn't have the decency to say that, look, something is taken out of context. That's not true. It did not happen that way. I did not mean it that way. No, he didn't say that. But not only that, the case that Jammeh has cited is a case, something that had happened. And still, investigations, inquest was not carried out. This is why we said we have to be careful. If you fail to follow rule of law, you are placing a recipe for disaster. Mistrust will happen. Government is to win the confidence of the people in order to inspire them. If we are mistrustful of our government, it's a danger. And this will cause, criminals or others to easily destabilize our country, especially nowadays with social media. These things are happening, it's not been resolved. Now people can just go and put out rumors and people believe it. That's why we need the rule of law, due process to be followed. We all, still now, I'm shocked that incident did happen. If it was not that, if press statement came out to partially accept that it had happened, I would not have believed it. Because I would say it's impossible. Put it this way. For some people who might not understand what that incident is about. This is about a young man who died at the State House, or a dead body found at the State House, decomposed. And when the story happened, the family of the young man knew about the young man being given a contract at the State House, allegedly. That's what they've been told by the young man. Till evening, they have not seen their daughter, son or brother or whoever it is. They went to the State House gate to ask for the person. State House ruled out that he's not there. And I can tell you, accountability, access control, every person that visits State House, visitor will be noted. And the books should be reconciled in at the time of closing. That all the people that check in are out. How can that happen? But for this guy, nothing is heard about this guy. Until one day, they smell decomposed body or something smelly. And they found the guy. That he had an accident and died. I can tell you one thing for sure. I've not worked at the State House, but I can tell you any installation like the State House, the protocols. There are restricted zones even for people who work at the State House. If anybody from outside of State House should go into anywhere, especially secluded, he must be supervised by one of the maintenance and even security. Depends at the time of what the condition of the country is. That's one. And then if that happens, then this thing could not have happened. If even, let's say, whatever happened, recklessness or whatever, the person was left to walk alone without being supervised. Now, if you have given a job to someone, are you not going to inspect whether that job is done or not? End of the day. If you didn't do it that day, not the second day, not the third day, what sort of job would you give someone and nobody would ever go and check what have been done for that day or the next day or the third day? Does that make sense? Again, let's say that did not happen. And it's possible all these things not to happen. There shouldn't a corner in the State House that will go for 3 days that a guard or someone did not go and look at what's there. Then you're telling me that it's possible for someone to walk into the State House and hide himself for days. Is that possible? And not be found. And not be found. Because every area would be checked. Probably some areas would be on view. Some areas, everybody is seeing that area every minute. But every corner, there's a guard tower, there's a patrol, there's different patrols, there are other things. You say that thing never happened to detect this until they had to smell an awful odor in the air in order to go and search and find a dead body. But up till today, it's a mystery. Now, things like that, I am not saying that the young lady was in danger of anything. And I know Jammeh was trying to put some salacious this thing. Look, you might not like Adam Barrow, but I have never had anything that he would do anything of that nature. I mean, looking at other women, any other way. I never heard about that. He might look weird, he might act weird or anything else, but I don't think he's a womanizer. But see. But apart from all this, everything Jammeh was saying was just showing his loneliness and trying to giving these audios, trying to manipulate. But by doing that, exposing how lonely he is, how disaffected he is, how much he is missing being a president. That's all he was showing. Trying to, who would believe when I come back my government? He was lying. And he knows he's lying. He knows he's lying. And look at that. Things he talk about, yeah, I have to go and pray. I just give you 3 minutes. It just even makes sense. Then you end up spending 15 minutes with the person. Someone of what interest? All the time you say that you have no interest in her or nothing she does, or go to the parliamentary MPs and speak to them. You should not go alone. And this person is insistent, saying that nobody can come to Equatorial Guinea without, this is because you even don't encourage people. He's lying. I know people who have traveled from the Gambia, Equatorial Guinea. He will not tell you those people, but we know them. And to say that because when you come back, this government is a wicked, that's a lie. The government knows people going to Equatorial Guinea. You see, we might not like Adam Barrow, but we cannot lie about certain things. He's lying. He knows the lawyer who visits him. He knows other people who visit him at Equatorial Guinea. If FDC or somebody else, that's their problem. But he's just trying to show a sense of importance. Nobody, you have a visa, they have to tell me the minute you do this thing and that. He's in a hostage-like situation. Then he went on talking about birthday cakes. But if you listen carefully, it's just jealousy. Because that has just reminded him how he used to celebrate his birthday, with Zainab feeding him cake and all those things. And now he had a birthday in Equatorial Guinea. Zainab is not around. A family is not around him. He's lonely. Now he saw a woman cutting cake, his cake, and feeding it to another man. And you see the jealousy he have even for Yaya Tamba. And again show you what is still in him, talking about smashing a woman's face. And he thinks that's normal. But next minute, he mistakenly comment to say, oh, Adam Barrow, when he meant something else. He said, Astaghfirullah, Astaghfirullah, as if he cares about those mistakes. You see the hypocrisy. And again, mystically, I will help you. You have to get your husband so that I can help you because I was accused of rape before. You know, you not been accused of rape before. You did it. You know that you did it. It's all guilt trip. Trying to, it shows you how. Then why is this government so scared of him? No, Barrow is not scared about Jammeh coming back or anything. That's why he keep ECOMIG there. Barrow is playing a psychological business because he knows he's failed. He's unpopular. Thinking that because of ECOMIG, then nobody would think of getting up to go after him. He doesn't know that's not ECOMIG mandate to stop Gambians when they want to come after him. Yeah, he's scared of the army because he had neglected the army. And I did not say that. The soldiers are saying it now. We have seen that the armed forces have, you see, part of the armed forces have disintegrated to drug traffickers. The Marine unit, almost 12 personnel. But I can tell you it's far more than that. Always the scapegoats will be arrested. The people higher on the ranks would not be. Junior officers, men would be arrested. We know how it works. They don't have audacity to act the way they were acting. Complete. Who we blame? We blame Adam Barrow. The ultimate solution for security, for sense of security is good governance. Good governance. A level of good governance, I am not saying that a government does not need security, but a level of good governance in a sense that you try your best to deliver. You are transferring and deliver deliverables and combat corruption, to be seen to working for the people, and make sure you educate your populace. Make sure you educate the populace. No, let the people be aware. I mean, how to call it? Let people have stake of their country. The reason Peruvians will come out and go after the tanks and weapons to rescue their president, because they believe their president is working for them. Where you see, Hugo Chavez, those people that came to protect Hugo Chavez because they believe Hugo Chavez was working for them. Now, if you keep on using money, using divisive politics and everything, having people who are incompetent worshiping you or bribing them to try to prove that you are popular, and knowing that you are not popular, if you steal elections, knowing that you cannot win elections, you will know it. He who feels it, know it. He knows that he is unpopular. If he tested in any measure, he will find out he's unpopular. He's not unpopular. He knows that people are seeing the theft, the corruption and everything, turning your entire family to millionaires. I say entire. Count them. Count them. Where they were and where they today. For that person to have the audacity to take state asset, the Chief Justice compound, and be putting almost $3 million. Yes, probably far more than that. Because that building, his building, is taking the design from Mohammed Jah. But his design is bigger than Mohammed Jah by threefold. By threefold. And some people close to Mohammed Jah claiming that he spent $3 million. Now, if he's building something bigger, because of he got three different in threefold. One area for one wife, the other is for other wife, and one area as a retirement office. And go and look at how big that is. Having the audacity to build that. And been built by a businessman, we seeing you giving contracts, dodgy contracts for the matter, single source, and inflated this thing. You're doing all that. How can you be popular when people suffer? But thinking that you can play divisive politics and people to hate each other and forget about you. Yes, it might work for some time. But it will come to a time, people wake up until they come after you. Whether they come after you through the ballot box, if the ballot box, you keep on keeping the ballot box fail, people come after you in other ways. And this is a fact. It's not a threat. It's not a threat. The failure of institutional reforms. The good governance. Failure of institutional reforms. Democratization. The IAC. The election, the institutional reforms for the for the security sector or other sectors, combating corruption. All these things, you didn't do it, and you expect to be secure. ECOMIG will be there then forever, because it's not going to improve. Even now, it's getting worse because the complacency now. They are so confident that everybody is stealing, literally. Now we're seeing almost detachment of Navy service people waking up only to work for the cartel. Let's see where it's going to end. Just to move on this, the other section, part of this discussion. The Gambia Armed Forces, the complaints we had from the Gambia Armed Forces. Guys, now listen to this. I was shocked. I was shocked to see televisions following the television service, following the CDS, and soldiers are given the mic to to show their discontentness. That's what it is. Because they give them mic to, because there's nothing that they would have praised the government or services. Now, think about this. Is it not a few months ago, almost 8 months ago, a soldier who have 18 years service was dismissed for doing the same thing. Sitting down with uniform, talking about the suffering of people. Is it not 9 months ago? He was sacked, and some people out here saying yes, because it's indiscipline, he should not do that. But it's discipline when the CDS go around, giving a mic to the soldiers to complain, and the CDS himself complaining openly on television. Yes, some people who might say, how can Ben say that CDS? Go and listen to what the CDS said. When the soldiers complained, the CDS did not give solution. He was complaining, and in fact making it worse. And we'll get to that. We get to that. Now, we are seeing strange things happen in the Gambia now. We have seen Inspector General of Police go on a tour. And the tour was like a political tour. I don't know what they're looking for or what they're assessing. But it's about popularity. Wherever he goes, people come out, sing for him, and what? What? But you would know that the police are not looked after. Their welfare are not looked after. Some police officers are following me every day. I still didn't have time looking at it because they said that they paid money and their land was allocated to them through Sol Fraser, and still they haven't received the land. They want me to advocate for that. But their Inspector General of Police was going round. Why did they not advocate for that? I'm not saying I'm not going to advocate for that, but I'm taking my priorities. Because it takes time to look into some of these allegations. But these are police officers. And we know the conditions they are. They are our brothers and sisters. We see what they go through. What do you have to waste to go to that tour and spend all the time running around for popularity contests? But let's come to the armed forces. Can we just now think of this? Where does this happen? That soldiers, television go and give mic to soldiers to complain about. If they're done in certain regime, they'll say that you are trying to sabotage the government. You try to sabotage the president. Because I don't know what the CDS is expecting to hear from these people. And what is outcome? What is he trying to gain from this? I tell you what he have achieved. He made Gambians really scared. Because we just remembered that this was the same complaints we had before 1994 coup d'etat. We had them. We had the testimonies. We had the testimonies. But again, this is a government that came into a political party. And we know that they don't, even their so-called fundraising is all fake, it's lies. They are sponsored by the corruption they are engaged in government with the business cartel. They are sponsored by the corruption and the drug trafficking they involved in with the drug cartel. We know that. We have seen properties they bought and the properties they have built. We have seen the hundreds of vehicles and everything money going on. But our armed forces cannot, they don't even have vehicles. I'll tell you about an incident years ago. You know, when the Dar es Salaam Gunjur incident happened, even for the quick reaction force to go, they don't have vehicle. They had to straight away go and take vehicle on credit at TK Motors to intervene. And after it was settled. That's a sort of what we call armed forces. Armed forces. Why do we have the word armed forces when nothing can be taken care of? It's a complete failure of the security sector reform. The corruption in the armed forces is not talked of. It's big. The money they earn from the OIC contracts, God knows where it's gone, and other stuff. Massive corruption. But you don't hear about it. I mean, money they took from the peacekeeping funds and other things. Go and look at the senior officers in charge of these things, how wealthy they are. Go and find out how wealthy the accountant is. Go and find out how wealthy he is. It's not his salary. Go and find out how Omar Cham is right now. Go and find out. He's a millionaire now. How many farms? All fence, equipments, compounds. Go and find out. He was broke as a church mouse before 2017. Now, you imagine these people going out and make this decision. One of the soldiers said, they don't have uniforms. They don't have combat boots. They have problems with their salaries. Why are they saying this on the tele? Why does Omar Cham accept this to be said? What he's trying to gain from this? Is it deliberate? Trying to say this so that this sense of insecurity will come out, so that ECOWAS will say, hey, yes, the army is not properly kept here. What are they going to gain from this? This is their responsibility. They fail. And I'll tell you one thing. The army is one of the most documented, accountable institutions. Do you know why? Every morning there's a roll call. Every Friday there's a master prayer. And I think every Monday as well. There's a quarter-side master that's in charge of logistics and everything else, who take reports, who make decisions. And there are reports developed in many ways. You know, when people say, oh, army intelligence, they think they are there looking for coup d'etats. No, they are looking for things that would improve operational effectiveness. That's one. Yeah, people might not understand that. But two, some of these things they're looking at to improve accuracy is about that thing, avoid coup d'etats, because it avoids disgruntlement. If the army intelligence realizes there's corruption going on, they are bound to report it. The army intelligence realizes that certain behaviors are happening and other things, and the command is not doing this thing, they are bound to report it somewhere. It's about helping to inform the command. It's not about what they call grass in the UK here. It's not about reporting on orders to get into trouble. No, it's a job that is very essential in order to make the services work. Yes, obviously, they have tasks at times to look into trouble. That's some criminalities or likely, crimes against the state or stuff. Yeah, they would do that. And just to tell you, there are many ways that the armed forces command is informed about the situation. They have logistics directors, they have logistics officers, they have different things. These people do entries, they do reports. They should know the state of the army. I'm not saying that you will not need to go on, when you go on tour, to do fact-finding. But it's not something you televise. It's not something you televise. Now, just how unfair they were on the guy that sat and did the Facebook Live and talk about his conditions, or conditions of people suffering. What's the difference? He was sacked. You see the hypocrisy. How can that amount to indiscipline? But when you listen to it, one of the soldiers said, They don't even have vehicle at the post there. When they want firewood, it's not one. They need firewood to cook. They will have to go out and get petrol and borrow a vehicle to go and fetch firewood. See, it tells a lot. You know why? Because again, it's solely the failure of the security sector reform. There are many aspects of assessments and reform. The strategy to use when you do your review after to implement your policies. But you realize that all the existing army posts or barracks are the same since Jammeh. And Jammeh put them there for a reason that he was a dictator. We are in a democracy right now. Some of those posts are useless. They are, in fact, exposing this young man to danger. They are exposed to danger, saying that they have no communication equipments. Where are you spending your money? You're calling yourself a friendly country. You cannot acquire communication equipments. You cannot acquire vehicles. These are operational needs. Then when you did your assessments of the army, your equipment and everything else should have been assessed. How do you keep this? Some of the posting they did is not needed. You have army, you have many forms of intelligence to report. You are not supposed to be a sitting duck to be picked on. You have patrols, you have other forms of these things. There are many things that you could do, but keeping people suffer in all these areas. And you expect them to be effective. You accept them to be loyal to the state. How can they be loyal to the state that doesn't care about them? And see this. CDS sat there when they talked about this. He talked about, yes, that's why we have soldiers in CRR, to cultivate rice, so that when we GAF rice, we will not need to buy rice again. The money we used to buy rice. Childish. Is that a solution? Is that a solution? How effective that's going to be? He never thought about there's so many things the army could have involved in, or the reforms that would have effectively worked out, and the army would have served as an institution where young people would go to seek skills that they would take away and do other things, not to have 7,000 soldiers sit down and do nothing. The little that helped was this peacekeeping service they go and do, and they have a little from there. There's a lot of skills that could have been put into the soldiers we don't need all of them to sit there. We don't need that type of an army. All this threat, if you look at everything, it's just useless. But no, they don't care. You will not find their sons and daughters in that army. Their sons and daughters, you will not find them in that army. It's all the sons and the daughters of the farmers and the poor. They don't care. The CDS Cham point at his vehicle to say that, wow, look at this, my vehicle is $40,000. How can you not shameful to say that? When already your troops have just complained about not having a vehicle. Oh, hey, now my vehicle is 40,000. And how many vehicles do you have? And how many your deputy? How many other senior officers? All these big generals and brigadiers, where do we need them from? There's no reform. All these things could have been saved. Your terms and conditions of service for senior officers, how can we afford that? Because reforms are not done. You would shamefully sitting there saying, my vehicle is $40,000. Now, if we have to buy a vehicle for this, vehicle for that. You're saying that then You are not saying that you are working on project. You are saying that you cannot do it, and then tough luck. Tough luck. Tough luck. That's what he said. And pointing at the boats. Yeah, you know how much these boats will cost. If you have to buy a boat for this, how much boat for that? You are there to give solutions. You ask them to complain. I tell you guys, there are many ways that government could have put. They don't think about it. They don't think about it. There are many ways they can get things done, but no, because they don't care. If the need assessments were done, if the Gambia Armed Forces strength is 7,000, probably 4,000 of that would be temporal soldiers who are trained to become many things. Many things. And that would have been part of our economic development program. Young people go into the army as a pathway, apprenticeship, to be engineers, mechanics, different things, so that they can leave the services and go and work in the private sector, or when they travel outside, they can earn something. We would not have been exporting our young people to go and farm in Spain or other places. No, but they don't think that far, because it doesn't affect their children. And you know, that's how selfish they are. And we always say this, and I say it, people say, oh, Ben is proposing a coup. Nonsense. No. That's why in Africa, it's easy for junior officers to convince the rank and files and overthrow a government. Because the senior officers are seen part of the problem, not the solution. Senior officers are seen as part of the political class, as benefiting from the resources and the rest suffering. Then the junior officers will make promises that, look, we are the backbone, we are the soul of this force. We can go and take these people out. That's why overnight you see junior officers use junior soldiers, go and overthrow an entire government and put all these senior officers away. In the instant you see senior officers overthrow, it's just a palace coup, just as it happened in most countries. It's just a palace coup. It's the same class. This is the failure of this government. This is more so to prove that Adama Barrow needs to be taken out of democratically. The urgency is here. 8 years, the momentum was there, reforms could have been done. Our soldiers could have been looked after, and they will look after us, not because of we will never fight a war, and we can never fight a war and win a war. It's useless. Yes, we might need an army for, you call it an army, civil defense, whatever name you want to give it, but to serve a purpose. What is the purpose? Every country, sovereign nation, will need an effective fighting force that any Top Dick and Harry can just get up to take out the government. But as I said again, ultimately, the good governance, it's the final solution to security. We might need the institution, be a disciplined institution to help train lot of, for instance, I saw about 4 young men, prime, probably mid-30s or less than 30, from the Navy. They were trained in the best institutions in America. Electrical engineering and technology and other stuff. They all came and left again. And people will blame them. People will blame them. You think if they have come back and there was an opportunity for them to do a service, that they will be happy? You have to be happy with the work you do. You do all this with this all knowledge, you go and sit and do nothing. What's the point sending them away? They could have been deployed where they could be used. All these people could have mentored, they could have trained, they would have run institutions to train more these things and make sure they are rewarded. We have to reward people. We don't have politicians doing everything and expecting people to throw their family, their ambitions and everything, to say that they are patriotic. No, it's just they're just going to be disgruntled and lose their head and fail their families. Why should they accept that? It's the failure of the institutions that send them to train. Go to other countries. 80% of the medical specialists, doctors in Senegal are soldiers. 80%. Do you know why? It's easier for the government to train through the army than to train civilians. Because almost all of those things are scholarships. The same as engineers. And many, many things. They could have done many things. But they fail. If you have someone like CDS Cham, what do you expect? It's deliberate. This is what we said, we have the nepotism. This is what it brings in. You think that CDS Cham will be loyal to you? You're kidding yourself. He will be saving his life. We all know. When Jawara did it, what happened? Who would sacrifice their life? Why? Who for who? Nobody should fight for a regime. If you fight for a regime, what you expecting to gain from it? You sustain a regime. What do you expect to gain? Nobody justifies coup d'etats. That's why we advocate against bad governance. Guys, that was the situation. I think we'll come another time to discuss something else. Thank you very much. Have a good
End of the Gambia that said that, Hussein Obojang is a rebel. But today I want to give you a context. Most times if we are not following this case day by day and then episode by episode, it's difficult to actually, get everything that's been on. But the most important thing is that, we are very excited that, what we expected is what is happening now. That folks who can, boldly come out and lie against ordinary citizens simply because they have position of authority and power would definitely be put in the box and be asked questions on things that they've said earlier. Now, one thing we need to put into context is that, whatever these folks would be saying, or trying to cover up, it just takes us back to, what exactly was the primary purpose of killing the cops and who basically did that nasty job. Evidently and clearly, it is not Hussein Obojang. That's very much clear to everybody now. But who is it? And whom should we suspect? Now, 3 persons in government are subpoenaed to court. And at the initial stage, the defense counsel objected to subpoenaing these folks to court. But one would ask the question, why does the defense counsel think it's not good to bring these people to court after everything they said? One would question why the defense counsel felt like he needed to go and appeal this particular, subpoenaing these folks coming to court to another court. But fast forward, within a couple of days, he have withdrawn his, appeal. But again, one would ask the question, first, why did you even appeal? When these folks are only called to come and answer to questions pertaining to things they have said. Why did the government feel through its, DPP that was so wrong to bring these folks to court to ask them questions as for what they had told Gambians? What does the DPP want to hide? Why does the DPP want to conceal these folks? Even though they've concealed the gun, fabricated witnesses and brought all of them to court, the DPP cannot or could not prevent Sankar and co from coming to court. But what had happened? This case have gotten an international attention now simply because after all government said and everything they know now and everything that the world knows now, because they never thought that Husseinu is just any other person that, people could come out to defend, because for them it's like we would just run and ride on this case quickly and put this dude behind bars as we wish. It's almost 2 years and the case is going to take 2 years, because if you look at it, we probably would get judgment for this case towards the end of the year. we're almost in July. The courts might be going on a vacation, and they only probably resume, you know, a month or two later, or whatsoever that might be happening, or probably somebody within will be away. So evidently, this case is going towards October, November, December. Now, but first, what exactly did happen? Why did the DPP change, you know, his ways? Because came to court and said, you know what, we're withdrawing. And of course, the folks would come and testify. Did the folks come out and say, you know what, you cannot decide for us, we would decide for ourselves, and we will come to court to actually, you know, testify? Or did the government feel that concealing these folks and refusing to bring them to court puts more doubts on the government than any other person, and then felt that, okay, you know what, still go. Let's just maslaha with this, and we try to do damage control, but they cannot control it. So all they could do is, oh, we are not coming to court. Oh, the next minute, okay, we will come. Why is the government changing position within this short period of time? But when we go into the testimony of Sankar, one thing I want to make clear is that I don't allege people, and I have no reason to do so. Sankar never said Ousainou Bojang was a rebel. That I can say, you know, clearly. Sankar never said Ousainou Bojang was a rebel. What Sankar did was to primarily put everything on the UDP. Now, the initial stage of this case was not about a rebellion. It was primarily to frame the United Democratic Party. But the initial information that came out were that Ousainou Bojang is from Brufut, and that was considered to be somebody from Brufut Bojankunda, and for them it's like, oh yeah, he's UDP. Secondly, he said he's one of those folks who were guarding Yankuba Dabo during the court case in Banjul. That means he's one of the security guards of Yankuba Dabo. Again, he said it's the guy in hoodie who was in that particular, you know, court case and had the gun there. Now, Sankar did not say Ousainou had the gun in court. That was said by DIG So. But everything Sankar said was to actually taint the UDP. Now, it was until the person who wore the hoodie came out and said, I am the person in hoodie, that everything Sankar said was put to zero, was when the government changed position and said Ousainou Bojang is a rebel from Casamance. So the rebel issue was only brought in after everything Sankar said was put to zero. That everything Sankar said was a lie, because the UDP came out to rebut every little thing that he said in trying to associate their political party to the incident. That Ousainou Bojang was, in that UDP court case, and he was basically, an employee of Brikama Area Council, and he was taken to safety by his co-conspirators who actually drove him into the, thick forest of Casamance for safety. Now, anything that has to do with Casamance that Sankar mentioned is they drove him to the thick forest of Casamance for safety, but he never said he was a rebel. Everything he said was trying to connect him to the United Democratic Party, that he is an employee of Brikama Area Council. He's basically, one of those Yankuba Dabo security guard. He was at the UDP court case in Banjul simply because it was the UDP that was complaining about Pate Jallo, and the government killed another Pate Jallo, to frame the United Democratic Party. That script that Sankar read was everything to frame the United Democratic Party. Issues of the, being a rebel here and there only came, the aftermath of everything Sankar said came out to be lies, was when they reframed everything again and then put in issues of he's a rebel, he got the gun from the Casamance rebellion here and there. Those were not things that were initially said. Ousainou Bojang was never called a rebel at the first press conference that that government did through Sankar. He was basically said to be that person who works for the United Democratic Party and was in the United Democratic Party court case in Banjul, and he works for Brikama Area Council and is a close ally of Yankuba Dabo, who, for one reason or another, he was basically, hired to kill, and part of the money he was paid was recovered. This is everything that Sankar said. But he never said that Ousainou Bojang is a rebel. But come to think of it, smartly when Sankar was speaking, let's give him a benefit of the doubt for the moment. Whatever he was saying, he said allegedly, which was very right. Now, I don't blame him personally a lot, because everything that he said was said to him by the police command. Even though he deliberately refused to say in court today who exactly told him, by saying that I spoke to everybody in the police. That is not possible. That's a blatant lie, because Sankar cannot talk to everyone in the police force. We have thousands of people in the police force. You cannot tell us that he spoke to everybody. That is a lie. Sankar spoke to DIG So, and DIG So furnished him with all this fabricated script and all these lies, or probably they criminally connived to kill the cops and fabricate this particular script. In one way or another, he either knew something about it or he did not know, and he got every information from the police, and he went out with his verbosity to make it look like he knows everything about the case. But in short, what did happen in court today is that Sankar knew from a long time that a day like today would happen. And what he did smartly was to write that disclaimer, because when the police write, you don't see at the end of it where they write end. That is Sankar's style of writing. And when the police posted that, people noticed that the language, the diction, and the ending of that particular statement was not originally of the Gambia Police Force, but it came from Sankar, because that is how Sankar writes. So Sankar compelled the police force to actually write that everything Sankar said was said to him by the police force. And of course, it's the police force that said everything to Sankar that Sankar said. So, for me, the point now is, why did the police lie about the killing of its own men? But it is the same police that stationed these boys at this particular location. And the police went back to kill these folks at the same location and came back to lie to the teeth against the United Democratic Party and gave all their lies to Sankar to go and narrate on a particular radio station, and came back and say everything Sankar said, we told him, when Sankar realized that everything he was told was a lie. And how do you know that Sankar knew that everything he was told was a lie? He said, after that single, press briefing he did with Peter Gomez, or interview he did, he never spoke about the case ever again. And when asked why, he said he was in the United States for the UN General Assembly, and then he later, went on for a vacation and came back. Sankar, this case has been on for almost 2 years now. You spoke once about it. You want to tell me for 2 years you've not been in Gambia? He's been there. But he knew very well that DIG was lying to the people and had lied to him. And he went out to lie to the Gambian people. And then he tried to excuse himself from the case and never to say anything about it, because he knew a day like today was going to come. That yeta fo futa sanji tan lulu nim fen wala tan tanita woro nim fe kere samba kidi bon le kal qur'ano dile ko e kal yafo ko ngo moro yenyi mimbe fo den tonyande mun e bula fola. Maloba modol do be falal bi foro buka kon aronde malobuka kon foroldo. But evidently, what do we want to clear here? That Usain Bojang has nothing to do with the case. When Sangare was asked, I don't remember. But evidently he did not say that. Maybe he did not even, because he will not remember. When you're lying, you don't remember. But when asked, you said, oh, he got co-conspirators here and there. I said, oh, I might have said something like that. But when he's asked 3 questions about it, he said, I said it, but I used the word allegedly. Now, Sankara, if you knew that everything you said was true, you will not still be claiming or hiding yourself on the word allegedly, sealing yourself with the word allegedly. But of course, that was what he said at the time. But evidently, he knew that Usain Bojang did not kill the cops, and now he's about protecting himself. That whatever I said about this young man, I said allegedly. But if the government had proofs that Usain Bojang did kill the cop, Sankara will be very happy to come to court and say, yes, he did it, and here are the evidence. But what I do not understand is Sankara said at the time that he was saying that, he said it on the basis of what was provided to him and the evidence. That was a very simple thing, to have a follow-up question by the defense counsel. Where are the evidence that you relied on to go to West Coast Radio to say that? Because you told us, he said in court that, of course, it was because of the evidence and the information provided to him. That was why he said what he said. Now, we can say that every information provided to him was given to him by the police. Where is the evidence that actually, led him to say what he said? Fania can sing. Fania can sing. Fania can sing. And what I do not understand is why is Sankara so afraid to tell the Gambian people who exactly told him what he said. And he said, oh, it's the police department. The police department. Now, the police does not have a command responsibility as per when and where such things happen, who communicates to government authorities. Of course, we know they do. It's not any riffraff that speaks on behalf of the police. It's not any person who would jump and call Sankara about a matter that has to do with killing of the cops in a government system. Police have a hierarchy and a command that is responsible for communicating State House and of course officials. Why is Sankar so afraid to tell that DIG so told me everything that I said? Is that another style of cover-up? Had they first said, oh no, we are not going to come to court, so that they can have that 1 week interval to go and reconvene and see how they would come to court and lie again? But of course, you cannot lie when your own videos and audios are going to be played in court. But the good thing is that most of the things Sankar said, he used the word allegedly, that we would give him. And he never said Usain Obojang was a rebel, because the initial conception of this whole idea was never about a rebellion. It was about framing the UDP. And Sankar, everything he did was to associate Usain Obojang to Brikama Area Council, Yankuba Dabo, and the United Democratic Party. But again, it was the United Democratic Party that was talking about Pate Jallow. And then killing a Pate Jallow was not a coincidence. But the whole point is, why did the police give Sankar that entire script and then call it a preliminary investigation? And he's now telling us that it's the preliminary investigation that actually revealed some of those. But everything that you said was a preliminary investigation was a blatant lie. And to come to court to say after that I never said anything is already guilt. To show that when you said it and then you were asking court, he said, when I was saying it, I used the word allegedly. I did not say he did it, I said allegedly. So that means Sankar is convinced that Usain Obojang did not kill the cops. Sankar is no longer saying Usain Obojang killed the cops. Sankar is now busy protecting his image and himself. So who killed the cops? Why the framing of Usain Obojang and the United Democratic Party in the initial stage of it? Why a quick twist and turn into he is a rebel and of course acquired the gun from the Casamas rebellion? You know what is going to happen? When Abu Jeng comes, he will also say that everything I said was basically information provided to us by the police and the investigators. The main ball of contention here lies on DIG's soul. Oga Code will bring his code, Alpha Bravo. He will tell us where he got the Alpha Bravo. He was the one with the command responsibility at that material time. Even though we know the IGP, former IGP, knew everything about the killing of the cops and pretentiously traveled to China so that it can happen in his absence. And then DIG, so very notorious and known for lies, came out to actually give those propaganda lies to Gambian people, and now he's going to come to court and be asked questions about the lies he told this country. Now DIG so will be put in the box and be asked, dude, Italoko, you use codes from one point to another, and then, if you look at those coordinates, it's Dimbaya, C4 here and there, until an unknown person was handed over to you in Casamas. Where are your codes? Provide them to the courts. I heard he was in the library today. So he was in the library to probably practice his computer science and coding, skills, and of course GIS technologies. That there was heavy telephone traffic in Usain Obojang's phone. DIG so will have to explain that, and you have to provide evidential support to all of those claims. Sankar is not my whole point, because Sankar said that everything he said was, given to him by the police, and the police came out to say that everything Sankar said, we told him. Now that we know that everything Sankar said was a lie, and then the police came out to say that all those lies are said to him by us, and even though it is our people who were killed, it is us that went out to lie to government and of course lie to the Gambian people, then the police must be held accountable for the killing of the cops. And of course, in particular, the former IGP and of course the deputy IGP. That will not excuse Ibu Sow and that other commissioner Sow, who is actually, head of anti-crime. Atol te kanala. Bataya sa me nyaaw nyaato nyala bela banna. Kuja mala tambiran dol banko kang, mole cool sifal beke ja atol mo nyamen ke ja atol mo farman sa fenke soto atol mo baraka soto atol mo ke wodintimi alon kalbe wuliya lala mol kang alko ya atol finije wonyam batol lon jumat. So the fact of the matter is that Commissioner Sow, DIG Sow, Ibu Sow, former IGP Sanyang, all of these folks are criminally liable in one way or another because they knew something about the killing of the cops. Now that DIG is going to be put in a box in the court and be asked, dude, you said this and that and that. You said, an unknown person was handed over to you in Dimbaya. Heavy telephone traffic. Prove it. code from one point to another. Do you know that the codes that DIG so was talking about, that they were tracking Ousainou Bojang's phone, that phone was actually revealed in court that it was dead flat. No charge at all, and was left in Bruford, and the SIM card in the phone was removed and put in a simple phone, and Ousainou traveled with that simple phone. So which phone was DIG so actually tracking? Which phone was the Gambia police force tracking? So for Sankar, I'm not really much bothered, because everything he had to say in court today and starting to forget, oh, I forgot, you know, I don't remember, it's like TRRC. At the end of the day, when you start asking them questions, all they tell you is, I don't remember, I don't remember, I don't remember. You will not remember, because you cannot remember your own lies, or in a way or another, you don't even know what you have told the Gambian people. So we don't intend to stay here long, because the whole point in this case now lies on DIG So. Because the two, Sankar and Abu Jeng, will now say that everything that we said was said to us by the police. And then the police, by whom? That is who, you know, Sankar is refusing to reveal. Sankar deliberately and blatantly refused to tell the courts who told him the information that he shared. And all he said was to again come to court under oath and lie that he spoke to everyone in the police. How can Sankar speak to everybody in the police? Does the police not have a command responsibility? The police are trained. These are professionals, well disciplined, that nobody just jump and start opening your mouth. No, they are not all DIG So. They respect command and they respect responsibility. So DIG So must come to court and take full responsibility that he is the one who told everything that Sankar was telling. Because he came back. Now, how would you know that it was DIG So that told Sankar everything that he said? When he said that person was in a hoodie and at the UDP court case, UDP came out and showed the person who was in hoodie. Days later was when the police came out with their press conference. And during that press conference, you know, DIG So tried to maintain that stance that Sankar said earlier. Yes, it is true. He confessed to us that he was in that press conference, you know, in that court case in Banjul, and he was there with the gun, and he was the guy in hoodie. So that means if Sankar had said that earlier, and UDP refuted it, and DIG So came to kind of strengthen that, then it was DIG So that told Sankar everything about that. And there was no other person who could brief government and the government spokesperson at the time who other than DIG So. And we knew from intel that DIG So, when this case happened and they got Ousainou Bojang, every day he was staying his entire day at the anti-crime unit. So DIG So, you were not at the police headquarters when these events happened. You were at the investigation. You were not an investigator, but you were sitting at anti-crime the whole day, because you knew everything about the killing of the cops, because in one way or another, you are one of the architects and the masterminds of killing these young boys. And I think the police now understand that some of us were not talking out of nothing. Not that we are talking in defense of Ousainou. I know Ousainou Bojang and I also know Sanjay. So why would I say, if Ousainou really killed Sang, to come and say I'm defending Ousainou against Sang? These are folks that I know. So there is no reason whatsoever to defend somebody who probably did kill another person, both of whom you know, for out of nothing. But the fact of the matter is that the government of the Gambia, under the leadership of Barrow, killed the cops to frame the United Democratic Party with the sole intention to ban the United Democratic Party. And now that it backfired, they are now on a, you know, self-serving or self-saving mission. Because everything you said about Ousainou, now today you come out, allegedly. That is already guilt and confession to the fact that if Sankar, you know, this soul guy, I don't think DIG So and that, you know, Abu Jeng or Abu Bakar Jeng, if everything they had said was true, they will be the ones to come to court and present their evidences in court. If everything that DIG So talked about, codes, using codes here and there, but I think you know what I'm coming to say, you might not understand it, I apologize, you know, in advance here and there. You can have funny understand it. What GIS technology do you know that people don't know? What coding methods do you know that people don't know? These are, you know, military operations, so they are only used by, you know, militaries and police here and there. Do you have military experience? What do you know about codes? Left, right, center, uniform or the police or the mobile for what I'm ila fa waro at ne dar e fa do wulia ba fola molia Gambia bankoka. And now you are going to be put to court. And you know, the fact of the matter is that Usainu is just like an age mate of, DIG Soul's son. Some of your children we know, and we see, and work in institutions that belong to some of our close family members. But we will not go to those people because they did us no wrong. But now that they don't what it will funny as if I out of nothing, out of wickedness and greed. Sometimes we get so agitated and we don't want to get to that level. But the fact of the matter is that these people inflict pain on people out of nothing. And that is why this government got to get its fucking self out of the Gambia, man. Because Tilimbalia man tambi mola molfa Tilimbalia kone ya murun kone ya wuliya la dolo kan kone the whole nation need to sit down and relax and watch you do and incarcerate that young man on your false allegations and pretentious lives of killing innocent people and of course jail a lactating mother and his brother for nothing they knew about and go out there get witnesses to frame those folks. Alman malu alman sila wala tol ka nar la pour ka gambiano le mako ya tol man dan gambiano le mako la fokan tol tora ka wuli ala wan dingol kan ko soram fa sanje fula almal bal dingol ala na lo code ka foko ha ba ka birinda ka fa said allegedly. What level of shamelessness is that? What level of shamelessness and heartlessness is that? But if somebody had done that to your children, would you be pleased with it? And when you look around, you see the likes of that other Pate Jallo whom UDP was complaining about, claiming to other people that, yeah, but the boy confessed to killing. Oh, yeah. I don't have any whatsoever. I don't have anything towards that Pate Jallo because that Pate Jallo's brother was a murderer, notorious murderer under the Jammeh regime who later turned out to be murdered by the same people. Sometimes you got to feel sorry for some of those folks. No. You are from a family of murderers. You want to tell people that, oh, you say Nobojan killed the cops. Where did you base that? I'm going to learn. I'm going to for him and then policy. Don't learn my dara. Whatever you people can do, do it. And when we talk about policy, we're not talking about the entire police force. We are talking about these folks at the helm of affairs. This criminal gang of bandits that you have at the helm of affairs at the Gambia police force. For one reason or another, these idiots got to rot in jail because that is where they belong. Because people who should be serving our nation and protecting our citizens are the people who are criminally conniving to kill our citizens and frame other people just to satisfy the political desires of the NPP. And Adama Barrow to be specific. Because it was Barrow who clearly told us that, of course, UDP is my main headache. And for you, you thought that, of course, this is a way to get UDP out by killing young people. But few questions that, DIG so need to be asked. And I hope the Defense Council put this into context. Now, these three people they position at this place are just newly, passed out recruits. Why do you have 3 recruits in this particular position? When did you post these 3 recruits in this particular position? Where were these recruits prior to being posted in this particular position? What was the necessity of posting these 3 recruits in this position? Why a Pate Jallo? Why did your preconceived, and of course you said your preliminary report came out to say that, this was masterminded by somebody within the inner circle of Yankuba Dabo because it was the UDP that was complaining about a Pate Jallo. Why was a Pate Jallo killed? Where was Pate Jallo prior to being posted, before his postings at this particular location? We need to know, because then that will connect the dots to tell you the criminal gang and how they framed this dude and brought him to this particular position and killed him just to actually frame the UDP. Because we need to know where Pate was before, when Pate was brought to this particular location, why Pate was brought to this particular location, why in that particular formation that is just 3 recruits that they put in this particular location, and how long have they been in this particular location, and why were they killed? Because we know that there was a push and pull within the inner circle of the IGP about posting this particular people in this location. Go, because our nyame tala darajo tala fahamro tala dunia long tala. You are just ordinary bandits who do not even know how to play criminality. But this case will expose all of you, and the whole world will look at you as real bandits and criminals and murderers within the government system. Every police officer can come here and testify that, yes, I did not talk to Sankare. Bawa ako police will be lafai. I think it's high time that the police force actually hold its leadership accountable. Go. Even though you have ethics and codes of conduct here and there, that does not include killing police, serving police officers, and you know this is masterminded by our own people and our own leadership that is there to protect us. And of course, protect the entire citizenry of this country. Killed our own men, framed other people just to satisfy the political desires of the president. And we know how DIG so actually got his, new contract, which he did not even deserve, even though it's coming to an end. That even the IGP did not know how DIG so got his, contract. The contract came directly from Office of the President because DIG so was constantly frequenting Office of the President, and he thought they could kill the cops to actually, please the Office of the President in trying to ban the United Democratic Party. After failing in that is why everything Sankar said was nothing to do with the rebellion. He was focused primarily on framing the United Democratic Party. When everything about that turns out to be lies and fabrications, they then turn around and say the dude is a rebel. He's from Casamas, or he got the gun from Casamas rebellion. But in la fin na fengo momenti nung kumfat atunde kumasidla. Adahidla wala nyente ko ngabela UDP kang. So this was a prefabricated script prior to the incident. It was planned and masterminded within government to ensure that they execute this in a master plan fashion so that they can frame the United Democratic Party, because it was within that period that Sabali and other people were saying we are going to revenge and it's going to be nasty. Now they use those words to actually kill the cops so that they can use those words against the UDP and its personnel, whom they felt at the time were big threats to their government, so that they can incarcerate them and of course ban the United Democratic Party. They failed in that quest and of course turn around and say, you know what, Usainu Bojang. Mama Jabi is all over talking about NPP, trying to say, that she is the staunch supporter or staunch supporter of the president, and adunta jabora jana kada ka UDP mola ka jafa ala fo musu ni ko ngo to nyani wo mantama jang be nyoji belal tilbula ba mimbe ke like boy mo buka fasi nyafala mo buka balu nyafala ni masakunda tilimbalo ni masakunda kurwa ni mo falal. What is the point? Why should somebody keep a government as disgusting as this one in the Gambia? And people talk, say, oh, you're too angry. Of course, we got to be angry, because if you are put in jail for almost 2 years, yela foninke ya betinya, yela dunia bedu ni nyokona, ni finda banda mo beji be ko karle mo fage. Imagine the amount of mental torture and trauma you have inflicted on this family, who knew nothing about your politics and your evil deeds, who has no hand in one way or another in your killing of the cops, just to put them in jail for almost 2 years, a lactating mother with multiple children who are at home not knowing when their mother is going to come back, or probably she's never going to come back. How is society looking at this family? How is society even, looking at these people? How are the, are his children going to school? What mental stress has you put? These are the kind of things that we do, that we generationally, kind of damage families for no good reason. That your wickedness, your evil doings would actually destroy an entire family and its lineage for no fucking reason. But look at it from that point. Look at the psychological trauma, the financial boarding that you put on this family. The social stressors that you put on this family. That at the end of the day, you can come back to court and say, oh, whatever I said allegedly. But when you were saying it, you did not put into perspective that these folks, at some point they got children. Getting me stressed out, man.